23 years ago, I attended my first demonstration of SolidWorks, and it was like I knew that I was really seeing the future.
At OMAX, we make abrasive water jet equipment.
Utilize ultra-high pressure water, cut through just about any material that you can think of.
So SolidWorks is our design platform for all of our mechanical design and a little bit of our electrical design. It's a strong, powerful tool that we use every day. From small machine shops to Fortune 500 companies, our technology has evolved in trying to support the diverse customer base and trying to make the machines easier and easier to use.
SolidWorks is very prevalent in product design. It's the same tool we use for new engineers, people coming to the company. They learn the software very easily.
Within a day, you're productive right out of the gate.
It's been one of the fun things about working here, getting to feel like the technology is really interesting.
Thanks to SolidWorks, we're able to rapidly reuse machine data, part configurations. In terms of SolidWorks and OMAX in the future, well, we're certainly not going anywhere away from one another.
Looking forward to the continued advances in technology that we get from SolidWorks to help us advance our technology.
Interactive models using augmented reality, identifying part numbers and components on the machines, so we see a lot of potential.
Events like 3D Experience World are the ultimate opportunity for a person to immerse themselves in the culture, in the learning, new technologies, new procedures, new vendors. It helps instill and inspire, a greater level of enthusiasm for the use of the software. Now, what I see in X Design and the 3D Experience platform has me just as much excited today as I was 23 years ago when I first saw SolidWorks. OMAX is arguably the world's leading manufacturer of abrasive water jet machining centers.
The mission of OMAX is to have a water jet machine in every shop, and to do that we need to keep advancing the technology.
Essentially, abrasive water jet machining utilizes ultra-high pressure water, cut through just about any material that you can think of.
We have a pretty diverse customer base, and it ranges from mom and pop machine shops to Fortune 500 companies.
SolidWorks is a pretty integral tool to our day-to-day operation.
With all of our development of product and tooling, it allows everything to be stored and tracked and managed automatically.
If you need access to data and you're in engineering, manufacturing, marketing, purchasing, you need to be able to access these models to do your job. SolidWorks PDM Professional makes that possible for us here at OMAX.
When I first came here, we had no document vault at all.
No real file or version control.
It was more difficult to see the history of the product design flowing through our system.
We made the conversion to PDM, and thank God.
To transition our data from the old vault into the new vault, and that whole process was pretty smooth and pretty seamless.
SolidWorks PDM it's just been a game changer.
Every new part we create is going to have that part number and description baked into the metadata, along with a number of other features that are handy. Being able to put in a part number and unerringly snap to it and find it, that's really key for us. We're going to live and die by the old models that we can find.
And we can integrate that CAD right into our tooling and our test equipment.
The traceability of it is so useful, and I can't imagine trying to go without it anymore.
There's a purpose for everything, and it makes our CAD data and thus the rest of the engineering processes flow ever so smoothly. SolidWorks PDM Professional has really allowed us to up our collaboration game.
The concurrent sharing of files, whether it be released or old and archived, have really solid stability.
In the technical training program here at OMAX, we also work with technical writing and the customer-facing documentation. We use the SolidWorks models that are developed by our engineering department to help compose the technical content and the drawings for our documents. We have the most current model available when we need it. We have less time interacting with the engineer and trying to find that information. So PDM is our source repository for all of the models that we need as tech writers. We have customers that look at our documentation and say, I've worked with machine tools all over the world, and you guys have the best documentation that we've seen in the machine tool industry.
PDM is a breath of fresh air.
We expect to continue to use SolidWorks to help us advance our technology.
Ciao everyone, and welcome to What's New in SolidWorks 2020. I am Gianpaolo Bassi, CEO of SolidWorks. Every year, we hear from thousands of SolidWorks users like you, and we get amazing ideas, insights, and requests for what's next. So of course we listen very closely, and then we deliver. Over this past year, you have told us you want full digital continuity, a seamless process that takes you from design to manufacturing faster than ever. You want the freedom to innovate more, and you want to work with increasingly precise simulation to reduce the risks of product failure. So we got our marching orders, and we acted on them. And we are absolutely thrilled with what's new for 2020. It's all about digitalization and integration through a connected 3D experience platform to drive faster innovation while reducing the risk of failure. In SolidWorks 2020, you'll find three main ways we are giving you the solutions you truly want and need. First, the 3D experience platform will deliver to you a connected design to manufacturing ecosystem, helping you manage every aspect of developing and delivering products, from ideation into the hands of your customers. You'll go from concept to completed product with unprecedented speed, and you'll do it easily and seamlessly with new and connected applications, both on the desktop and the cloud. We are delivering improved performance across the spectrum for stunning speed and unparalleled functionality. And finally, we are giving you streamlined workflows to accelerate time to market and reduce manufacturing costs, all while improving product quality. Get ready to dive in, discover, and get inspired by SolidWorks 2020.
Hello and welcome back to SolidWorks Live, where today we've been discussing everything new in the SolidWorks 2020 portfolio. If you're just tuning in, this morning we had a couple of great topics we went over. We started around 11 a.m. Eastern Time discussing improved performance. We then went on and just recently finished streamlined workflows, and this afternoon we want to discuss the connected ecosystem across the entire SolidWorks portfolio. And to help me with this discussion, we've invited Sal Lama, the Director of Product Definition with SolidWorks. Sal, welcome.
Thank you, Jeremy. Great to be here.
Yeah, Michael, you're back just from a short time ago. Welcome back, Michael.
Excited to get back into it.
Yeah, I'm Jeremy Rigneris, and we have Eric Beatty from Ormex Corporation, the customer that we've been highlighting throughout a lot of these demonstrations. Welcome back, Eric.
Thank you, Jeremy. I'm having a heck of an awesome time here.
Yeah, I mean, so are we. We always look forward to this time of year. We launch a lot of what's new for a lot of our products, and it's very exciting. So if you're just tuning in, like I said, we have a lot of videos we've just recently uploaded. If you go to our What's New website at solidworks.com/what's new, you can see a ton of great videos on a lot of the new capabilities. Also, if you're joining us on social media, encourage you to ask questions, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We have moderators there who are going to answer your questions, and some of those will come in here on stage, and we'll kind of answer those as we see fit going through there. But like I mentioned, this afternoon, we want to discuss kind of connecting the whole ecosystem. Where are the other places we can use our SolidWorks engineering data throughout our organization?
Yeah, because we're going to address a number of different areas, not only in the design realm, but also in the entire business of how do you sell your product and how do you get your product manufactured.
Yeah, so how do you guys, I want to buy a Micromax water jet. What does that sales process look like?
Well, we have both our own direct sales force and we have a distributor network as well. Unfortunately, though, buying a water jet machine's not like if I wanted to go out and buy a new refrigerator or buy a car or something. You can't browse right now to an Omax website and pick out the options you want and see what colors you want or what have you on the screen there. You still got to talk to a person and they'll present you with a check sheet of options. So we're still very 20th century in that regard.
Yeah, which can take away resources from engineering because I can often, customer or prospect may have a specific need or something brand new.
Yep.
Can someone go get Eric? We need some help making sure we can do this, right?
Exactly. Could you put together a model real quick? Well, yeah, give me a day or two and I can whip up a custom configuration.
Yeah, so addressing some of these challenges or these what-if scenarios. I mean, I know when I go online and I'm looking at buying something, I try and do as much research as I can, make sure I'm making an informed decision, picking and choosing different options available. So actually, we can do something now using the native SolidWorks file, something called SolidWorks Cell. So why don't we take a look at this? We've created a SolidWorks Cell website here, and for you at home, you can jump online to the same website to check this out, try it out. We've done some amazing things. But as you scroll down through here, you'll find this interactive area. It's a 3D model, but you have options, different configurations in an easy-to-use format to go in, pick and choose what you want. You can even visualize the model in different states. For example, the doors open and closed, different emergency stops, different nozzles that you may go through on the Omax machine. If it's on casters or feet, or if the monitor is on its own separate stand, or if it's attached to the case. So you can jump through a variety of these different options. You can take a look at pre-rendered images based off of your decisions. And one of the coolest things, right? If you're going out to the site, your customer site, your prospect site, take your phone with you, or even have your customer do this as well. Through the same website, you don't even have to install anything. You jump into augmented reality, so you can actually jump into the model that we're seeing here and visualize it on your shop floor. Zoom and rotate it. I mean, the website automatically detects the floor where you are to just place the image right in there. No QR codes, no need for that. Very easy to use to visualize the different options, figure out what's going to be right for you, and even get the quoting information to proceed with an order.
Yeah, I mean, this is great. Michael mentioned very early on in the beginning, what's really cool about this, we're just leveraging the engineering data you've already created. It takes very minimal setup, right?
Yeah, part of SolidWorks Cell is making that experience easier than ever to create this configurable website or that configuration experience for your prospects and customers.
Yeah, within the past few years, we tried developing our own similar configurator setup, and just the graphics overhead that was necessary to be able to present the customer with different model views and options and stuff, proved extremely daunting. But it looks like this has just totally solved that problem.
Yeah.
Well done. Sorry,
Very good.
Getting a little speechless. I've just seen so much awesome stuff today. I'm trying to keep it together.
So this is I was going to say, this is one area where SolidWorks XR, extended reality type applications, is taking form. In 2019, we even saw some improvements with e-drawings, being able to bring in e-drawings virtual reality in VR. So we're going to take a look at something next here in terms of when you want to go deeper inside your model. If you were able to see what we did in 2019, like with the telescope model, being able to actually walk around and teleport throughout the assembly. You can even pick up components, take a closer look at them, put them back in place. So it gives you another type of experience to dive into your models and experience them. So 2020 makes some improvements here. It's readily available here. You just open in VR and you're opening a native SolidWorks model. So put on your headset, plug it in, and dive into your model. And what we're showing here, just since you may not have a VR headset on at the very moment, this is what you can experience and validate on your desktop. So you can change the environments, the floor, and also the visual quality has greatly been improved. I mean, for things like transparency, anti-aliasing, ambient occlusion, gives you a higher level of realism and just makes that virtual reality experience much more pleasurable.
I mean, this is you talked about your sales process is I have a salesperson interacting. Imagine with one of your really large size machines where you could work with a customer and help them really visualize what's this thing going to actually look like? What's the size of this going to be? This could be a really great way to augment that sales experience that you guys are doing today.
For certain. And, you know, when we're just looking at the tilt-a-jet head on the machine a few moments ago, I can also envision technical documentation and training applications as well, you know, showing technicians how to service a particular aspect of the tilt-a-jet, or showing customers, you know, how to change their filters in their cutting nozzle and make other adjustments. So, you know, I see a whole wide range of applications for this.
And I know when I go to like trade shows, I'm always looking for the booth that has the VR experience, right? You got to get in there first.
Oh, for sure.
This VR experience is included with eDrawings Professional, so it's very easy to get in and get started and show off your products to the masses.
Yeah.
Oh, right on.
You talked about technical documentation. That's another area that's been improved in SolidWorks 2020. We didn't happen to cover it here today, but on that website I mentioned at the beginning, solidworks.com/what's new, there's some new stuff in SolidWorks Composer as well. I think you created some of that content.
Yeah,
there, Michael.
it really helps with the workflow as well as keeping everything connected, because exploded views, individual states like that, are automatically carried over when you open them in Composer.
Yeah.
I took a look at that video playlist in the break between our streaming sessions here. 42 videos showing off what's new in 2020. I mean,
so definitely go there and check that out
Indeed.
if you haven't had an opportunity to.
Yeah.
So we've talked about manufacturing, you know, or we've talked about visualization here. Sorry. One of the other people you probably have to work with quite a bit in your organization are electrical engineers. Yep. They're like another subset of folks that are using SolidWorks for a variety of reasons. And last year we've enhanced the SolidWorks electrical experience by integrating it into SolidWorks PDM.
Yep.
This year, we see some improvements into SolidWorks PCB, now integrated into SolidWorks PDM as well, right?
That's right. So we're going to take a look at a little bit of what that integration looks like, but we also have an exciting new feature with SolidWorks PCB 2020. So this addresses, you know, in the case where, you know, you have a PCB, maybe you have multiple PCBs in the design, how do you connect them all together? And how do you make that product more robust, more stable, so that you can have a long-lasting product? And
yeah, I mean, my first thing I raise my hand, I say, put a ribbon cable on it, right?
Right. No. just do one PCB, a rigid flex PCB. One PCB, rigid flex PCB. Let's take a look.
All right, let's take a look at what this looks like.
So we have this anemometer here. We need to obviously put in some electronics in there. We've got the batteries, all right, but this is going to need some collaboration between the mechanical designer and the PCB designer.
We use PDM for any of this?
Yeah, so let's start over in SolidWorks PCB. You can see we have the initial layout here for the PCB. And part of this creation is done with PDM now.
Okay.
You have the option. If you have PDM, you can easily use the PDM templates to right-click, create a new project, and it
builds the whole structure.
Creates the whole structure, subfolders, how you want them, and with the properties that you want. And the other critical piece here, and this has been a long-standing value of PDM, is with the properties driving from PDM, when you go in to fill out your documents for the title blocks, approval information, description, part numbers, etc., That's all pushed from
That's all being
PDM.
populated, just like we are
pre-populated and
inside
updated.
SolidWorks drawings, just like we did with SolidWorks Electrical last year.
That's right. All right, so let's get into this PCB design. We have one full-size PCB. It's all rigid right now, and we need to make it flexible. Obviously, it doesn't fit. So we can use the connection with PCB to communicate back and forth between the mechanical and electrical designer. So they can read those notes and recognize, okay, I see the area that we want to make flexible, and through the PCB stacks, we can specify, what's going to be rigid, what's going to be flexible, and specify these regions graphically. And then go in and draw additional lines for bend locations.
Okay.
So their bend radius, and easily interact with the PCB design here.
Now I work in SolidWorks. He's going to create this. We sent this to SolidWorks PCB. How do I bring this back into SolidWorks?
Well, there's this concept of pushing and pulling information, right? When you make a change and you want to communicate it, you just push it. And when you're ready to receive those changes, you pull it. It gives you a checklist of all the changes that were made. And in this case, the mechanical designer is saying, okay, PCB designers made some changes, let's pull those in. Automatically does these native SolidWorks commands to build it up in the SolidWorks mechanical CAD experience.
So the change here, though, I don't have to. It looks like I don't have to go back to SolidWorks PCB to make that
native
adjustment?
SolidWorks features. That's right. Double click on it. You've got the dimension
that looks like
to modify.
A sheet metal sketched bend.
Right.
It's actually some of the technology under the hood I think we're using, right?
Right.
Was that some instant 3D to bend that back and
Absolutely was, right? So
Boy, howdy.
you'll have to refer back to flexible components to see how you can leverage that earlier.
Right on.
Yeah. So, and then when the PCB designers receive those changes, we're ready to push out our manufacturing information, commit it to PDM, move on to the next project.
All right, that sounds great. So let's jump on here. Jump next. One of the reasons, Sal, we wanted to bring you here today, you've been with SolidWorks for a long time, but in the last few years, you've had a really interesting role within SolidWorks, right?
Yes, yeah. So I've focused on bringing our 3D experience applications to life. It's been really, really rewarding and exciting. We move at a very fast pace. We're actually deliver things 5 times a year to the market.
Yeah, so for customers watching, they're seeing what's new in SolidWorks 2020, which they're used to getting every year.
Yeah.
And then we have some service packs that come out through the year, right? Those have bug fixes, maybe a few features here and there, things like SolidWorks Electrical, PCB, plastics flow. You guys are way ahead of, you guys are at a much stronger cadence, right?
Yeah, so again, as I said, 5 times a year we come out with FDs, which are functional deliveries, and in those we're adding tons of new functionality. And of course, there's quality improvements that go along, like a service pack, but we are trying to advance these applications very quickly, and doing so again 5 times a year. We just had a release this past weekend, so when I turned on my computer, when everybody turned on the computer on Monday, we saw the new software.
Yeah, there was nothing that needed to be done. I logged into the 3D Experience platform, and I have access to all this awesome new functionality.
Right.
One of the really cool areas that you guys shared was my ability to work on devices, such as touchscreen devices yourselves, right?
That's right. In fact, one of the most exciting things we've done in the recent past is refocus on the experience on other devices. Myself and I think all of us, we love our mouse and keyboard. That's what we do when we work in SolidWorks. But we saw some great functionality today with the ink work that we've done in SolidWorks Desktop to be able to work with a stylus. We refocused our efforts on touch, trackpad, stylus interactions with all of our 3D experience applications. So it doesn't matter what device you're on, you can pick it up and use it with a great experience.
Yeah, because when people start using cloud tools, they have an automatic expectation, I should be able to use this anywhere, any device.
Right.
And you guys are really bringing that to life at this point.
Well, especially with the next generation coming in. I mean, if teaching in apps for kids class, it's like you'll have kids that have never used a keyboard and mouse.
Better have touch.
It better have touch.
Yeah. For sure. So one of the really cool things, like you mentioned, is this this intense cadence of new functionality that's coming out. So if you haven't had an opportunity to look at the 3D Experience platform recently, we've been pushing out a ton of new content for this. There's a lot of stuff on my SolidWorks for 3D Experience platform. Go to solidworks.com/3D Experience. You can learn more about it there. And just recently, we did one of these SolidWorks live events. I had Jordan Todich and Todd Train on here. We talked about a really fun project we did this summer. And we really focused heavily on the collaborative nature of the 3D Experience platform, using communities, generating projects, and controlling tasks and timelines within there, and how it was indispensable for our teams to we all had to design a project in 3 weeks. It was a really intense project. I'm going to quick pause here a second. We had a question come in here really quick. No, it was just a thank you. I really love the new Rigid Flex feature. We usually use crazy bending and configurations. This is game changing. So great props out there to the SolidWorks PCB folks. So back to what we were discussing here. Apologize for that. So we spent a lot of time talking about collaboration, but today I wanted to just show a way something that might be familiar to an existing SolidWorks user. I'm a SolidWorks desktop user. How can I start to take advantage of the 3D Experience platform today? And one of the first things I always ask people, and I'll ask you this, Eric. Yep. You guys use SolidWorks PDM?
Yes, we do.
And is that, you guys love using it? We saw the video at the beginning. It sounded like a lot of your workers really like using SolidWorks PDM.
Oh, it's been, you know, quite well received when we implemented it a couple years ago. It's done a lot to streamline a lot of our workflows and, you know, make our data management pretty darn simple compared to, you know, the old by golly honor system of using you know, File Explorer to keep track of everything.
Sure, but not every company has a PDM administrator like yourself, and this is one of the challenges a lot of companies face.
They may not have the infrastructure as well. And it's like, okay, do I have to go out and buy servers?
Yeah, do I have to have a PDM guy? Right. So this is a big problem that the 3D Experience platform solves right out of the gate. Data management for all my stuff. But that's doing something else. Once I put my SolidWorks files on the platform, we unlock access to tons of apps, right, Sal?
Yeah, you mentioned a couple just a minute ago, but you know, when your data is on the platform, with your control, everyone that you want to see that data can see that data, and they can take advantage of that data with the large number of apps available. So we talked about simple collaboration. I can have threaded conversations. I can post to communities. I can use project planning apps and create tasks for myself and for my colleagues. The list goes on, and it scales all the way up to applications that go into the high realm of advanced simulation. We saw some great simulation here, but at some point, SolidWorks simulation capabilities end, and there's other products that the 3D Experience platform brings to life.
So keep that in mind as we dive in here. We're going to show something that's familiar to a lot of our customers, but we'll come back to this conversation, and there's definitely a lot more here. So I took this abrasive container from the Micromax, and I want to save my files to the 3D Experience platform. Just like SolidWorks PDM, it's an add-in. Right inside of SolidWorks, I do a save, and it's pushing all my files up to the 3D Experience platform. The really cool advantage of this, like we just mentioned, is now all my files are available from any of the apps. And this includes some really cool new 3D design apps that we have up there. So I want to design, instead of all that hardware in your design, I want to create something more of like a twist on or a press in cap, like I happen to see on my lawnmower has something like this. So to do this, I'm going to bring in some of that SolidWorks geometry. And I'm going to use some really cool sub-D modeling tools. Do you know what sub-D is?
Oh, I do, and I'm very excited about it because I have the ultimate respect for anyone that can surface model and create some really amazing swoopy shapes and lofts, you know. Digital clay is about my speed, and you know, I grew up with Play-Doh, so I think I'm fully trained to use this app at this stage.
Yeah, it's smart Play-Doh. Things we can grab onto and really control this with the precision that we need.
Yeah, so it's really as simple as dragging a primitive shape into your design, and you started making adjustments to it. But it's not just round, fluffy objects. I can add hard edges to this and shapes, and you can see I can just start pushing and pulling on this design to start kind of bringing it to life.
All right, Jeremy, looking at this, I'm imagining, you know, I'm out working on the OMAX Micromax machine. I need to take off this cap. I don't have much to grab onto right now. My hands are going to be dirty.
So this is great. We can just grab individual pieces of geometry. They can be vertexes, edges, faces. There's even a filter to make this process easy. And then we're going to go from kind of a round to a square shape up at the top. That's going to give you an initial start, something to grab onto with your hands there.
Yeah, maybe something more a little bit ergonomic.
Like some finger grooves?
Yes, please.
All right, so let's go ahead. Let's add another primitive shape to this. That's what's really cool about these sub-D tools. I'm not just creating one and kind of have to work off of there. I can bring in more sub-D shapes. And in this case, we're going to create that finger cutout. we're going to add some intelligence. So even though this is very push and pull, it's still smart. So we'll add a symmetric relationship here so that anything we do on one side of our shape will automatically be updated on the other side of our shape.
I see where you're going. You're talking about creating some cutouts, but you're going to do something Boolean a little bit,
Yeah.
I'm sure, to subtract this new ball from the cap.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So I create this shape. You can see where I'm going. It's really easy to create it as this own solid and then subtract it from it later on.
How are you going to ensure that all of them are going to be the same? Are you going to have to create a few more of those quad balls to pull out?
Well, what's really cool here is I just went up to the compass and I switched to a different tool,
Oh,
a different
I see.
set of tools. The toolbars at the bottom change. And now I have what all of our viewers at home are probably familiar with, very traditional CAD tools. Things like extrudes, sweeps, lofts, create all the reference geometry that we want to. And in this case, I'm going to go ahead and create a pattern. Now, one of the things we're not highlighting here, we have in other videos, we can even do these things called super features, where you can go from like an extrude to a loft if you want in here. But in this case, I just want to create a pattern. And like you had said, Michael, I want to do some Boolean operations. We're going to just go through and we're going to remove all these knobs and instead turn them into cutouts.
Yeah, and I can see where I'm going to hurt myself if I try to grab onto this now. We need to break some of these edges. And I got to point out, you didn't even have to save, close, or reopen this to switch between our apps.
No, I can just
no imports or translations.
No, this is what's really cool about the 3D Experience platform. I can just jump from app to app to app and utilize the tools and workflows that I need that those apps are providing me.
Now that looks like I can use something like that.
Yeah.
Something you can wrap your hand and your mind around, huh?
Exactly.
But we need this to fit on the Micromax itself. So what I want to do here is I want to create the piece that's actually going to go into that glass tube right there. And at some point, we've done a lot of pushing and pulling and freeform shaping. Well, these are traditional parametric tools we're used to. We can do things you're familiar with in SolidWorks. For example, in this case, I want to extrude up to that surface. So I can reference all this geometry that came from SolidWorks in this case as well. Nice. But at the end of the day, we did a lot of this work in SolidWorks. The whole machine is there. I do want to bring the model back.
Oh, for sure.
And within SolidWorks, with the built-in add-in, well, first of all here, let's hide all that hardware. We're going to save some money there.
Oh, indeed.
And now we can just search.
Good.
Search for anything on the 3D Experience platform from the add-in. You can see my existing SolidWorks files and the file I just created with some of the CAD tools there. And I just drag and drop it in.
I was going to say that's a remarkably straightforward process to insert something. I've seen that drag and drop process before for adding models to SolidWorks stuff. So
yeah,
it makes it feel very natural, doesn't it?
I think I can use that app. I think I'm fully trained now.
Yeah, that's about all there is. Search and drag and drop, and we bring that in there. So what do you think of that? What do you think about being able to kind of, so you can see the initial benefit. We put the files up there. We used 2 apps. And to your point, Sal, there's a lot of apps up there, right?
There are. In fact, I think in a little bit, I think we'll see another example. But yes, there are a bunch of different apps that you can have access to do a wide variety of things. The sub-D modeling is just one of the many.
Yeah, small capability. When we did our project that we did on the last live event, it was really cool. You created a task, you can actually reference the SolidWorks models that go with that. So I don't have to send an email or something like that. Really cool stuff. There's the generative design capabilities inside of those tools. But I think we should talk about some other, like you mentioned, really high-end and advanced tools. You just recently attended an event called a Hackathon in Milan, right?
I did. And in fact, Sal was there as well, and it was our second year together at a Milan Hackathon, part of Design Week, and it was all centered around the 3D Experience platform. And last year when they sent us and they introduced us to the cloud CAD tools that we were taking a look at, Sal basically said, here's your login, here's what we'd like you to create, good luck and Godspeed. And that was our training. And a few days later, I'd managed to complete about a 40-component personal water jet machine.
Oh, that's incredible.
This year we upped the scale way orders of magnitude on the projects that we're creating, using the full depth and breadth of the apps that are available on the on the 3D Experience platform. CAD tools, community building tools, project management tools, data mining tools. I mean, the entire data environment, if you will. And that was the theme of this year's hackathon. And I believe we might even have a video that showcases some of the stuff.
Yeah, let's take a look at the project that you guys worked on.
Yep.
And what was the theme of this event, though, just so everyone knows before we dive into this?
So the challenge was to imagine the city of the future and how the data that cities produce, and around the world we're producing mounds of data about the environment, and how can we take that data and help it transform the cities of the future. So that was sort of the brief.
Okay, and you worked with Rob Jost on your team?
Rob Jost, who's one of Sal's teammates in the product definition group.
All right, I think Rob's going to explain what the project did here.
What we did was create a system that's capable of designing cities of the future. So in any given city, you might have a section that's more contemporary and then a section that's more older. In your older section, you might have lower buildings, more squared off buildings, whereas in the contemporary section, things are more round, might be more commercial than residential. And then what's in between? Supermarkets, where do you need coffee shops? Where do you need laundromats? Public transportation? That's all the things that this system is capable of figuring out to help plan cities of the future.
So that's some pretty cool stuff. You guys had a lot of buildings created out there.
Yep.
You were modeling buildings of the future. So you guys like use the CAD tools and draw all these buildings?
Well, we leveraged the CAD tools on the 3D Experience platform, but utilizing some algorithms, utilizing the generative design app, how everything's tied together. Honestly, the only human CAD input that you saw there was drawing a simple 2D polyline around a city block area, and after that the algorithm that we created and the program we created took over, created the buildings, looked at what percentage needed to be residential, commercial, mixed-use industrial, and all those structures that you saw bubbling up from that 2D polyline were all done.
They were generated automatically with some
generated automatically.
That's really, really impressive.
Yeah,
So
and that's why his team won the event. They took full advantage of the power of generative design to allow a small handful of parameters to dictate a different design depending on where it is in the city and what the needs of that specific region are. It was amazing.
And now this is just a small example of what the 3D Experience platform really ultimately offers our customers. It is really a gateway to a massive amount of tools available from Dassault Systems, right?
That's right.
I mean, tell us a little bit about, Dassault as an R&D organization.
Well, that's a great question. The SolidWorks R&D staff, we've seen its might over the years and its power to deliver all this new functionality. I'm going to make up a percentage. It's going to be ballpark. That's 1/20th of the R&D power of Dassault.
Right.
We are an R&D company, and that means that when we're working with 3D Experience platform, our customers now have access to the other 19/20ths of the R&D, that's why we can actually bring in this rapid pace so many things to life to advance our users' capabilities.
Well, a great example of this is another a product from the Delmia family here, right?
Yeah, so we've done a lot of discussion and showing new features about designing new products, improving products, how it's faster to make a better design. And whether if you're on the desktop or if you're using a 3D Experience platform and you're mobile. But at the end of the day, we still have to get stuff made.
You say he wants to get that plastic cap made, right?
Yep. So, specifically with the Micromax or some of the water jets at Omax, is they actually use some of their machines to make parts to build the machines.
Yeah. Indeed, we do.
It's like 3D printers printing more 3D printers kind of thing, right? So, Omax manufactures some of their own parts.
We do.
But like in the case of that cap, we may need to send it out of house to like a plastic injection molding facility. And this could be a one-man operation shop. It could be a multinational, billion-dollar company that does and fulfills these manufacturing operations. And all of these, from the one-man shop to multinational, there's a common challenge of how do we control? How do we manage the material coming in, taking orders from customers, tracking the performance on machines, and being able to deliver quality products and ship them out the door and manage that entire life cycle?
Yeah, this goes way beyond creating CAD models, Michael.
Yeah, and so this is something that we've shown at previous world conferences with the SolidWorks shop floor, and specifically you did a SolidWorks live event earlier this year.
Yeah, we were at SolidWorks World. We did live this same broadcast. We had a really cool opportunity. We met with Mike Buckley, one of our product managers, and he took us on an incredible tour of a whole shop floor that they set up at SolidWorks World, where they went from they were machining parts on multiple CNC machines, 5-axis. They had a lathe. They were bringing them over. They were doing multiple forms of QA on them. They were doing scanning quality checks. They were doing probing on them. And they were tracking everything from the material coming in to the floor, through them being machined, monitoring the quality on them, to the finished products, all using the tools we're going to actually be talking about.
Yeah, so and with that, a lot of manufacturing customers either do it manually now. They may have some tools to fulfill some of these gaps, but there's ERP and MRP applications out there to help do that. And one of the big industry-proven technologies out there is IQMS. Yep. And that's what we announced earlier this year, is the acquisition with Dassault of IQMS becoming DelmiaWorks.
Yeah, so the idea is ERP's complicated, right, Michael?
Right. So that's why DelmiaWorks, just like SolidWorks, is here to make it simple and accessible for everyone.
All right.
So actually, OMAX is located in Kent, Washington, my hometown. Drive about 45 minutes north up to Everett, and you'll find this place called Select Plastics. And so we have a short video from them showcasing how they're using DelmiaWorks in their facility.
All right.
Select Plastics is a full-service custom injection molding company. We take our customers' ideas from concept into reality. One of the biggest gains and the biggest goals we had for DelmiaWorks was to know what our actual costs are.
When we go into tooling design, we'll quote out all the materials and estimated labor costs. That's where we actually start rolling into the DelmiaWorks side, because we will capture all of the tooling, materials, labor costs, everything associated with that project, all within essentially one portfolio. That will help us to understand specifically what went into the project, and that's also the basis for everything from then on out, because at that point, the project is assigned a tool number, it's assigned labor costs, and that transitions all the way through to manufacturing and injection molding.
The combination of DelmiaWorks and SolidWorks is really extremely helpful for us.
So, taking the complex, making it simple, accessible, easy to use for manufacturing operations, we can take a look at DelmiaWorks to address that need.
Yeah, so definitely go back if you haven't had a chance to watch the live segment we did at SolidWorks World. It'll be in the archives on this webpage and on our YouTube channel. Great example, like I said, toured by Mike Buckley, showing exactly how to leverage all these tools across the shop floor environment. So we've kind of wrapped up, I believe, kind of gotten to the end here. I'm going to stay here and let any questions roll in that might come through here, but Eric, I have to ask, you've kind of had a long day, a long couple of weeks kind of reviewing what's new in SolidWorks 2020. What do you think?
Well, I'll have to be honest. I'm gonna go back about 23 years to when I first saw SolidWorks, and I make no secret of this, that first time I ever saw it, I was coming from a 2D CAD background, tried 3D wireframe CAD and some of the desktop applications back then, and the moment I saw SolidWorks, it was like, it blew my mind, and fast forward 23 years, time and technology has charged forward, and so is SolidWorks, and You're still blowing my mind. I mean, honestly, you know, I am as excited today, both by what I'm seeing in SolidWorks 2020 desktop and what I'm seeing, you know, what Sal and his teams are doing on the 3D Experience platform. Other than the fact that I don't have a jetpack, this is the future that I was promised as a child.
Fair enough. So if you had to look back over the course of the day, if you could point to, you know, a feature that you liked inside of SolidWorks 2020, what would you say one of your favorite ones are?
My one favorite feature in SolidWorks 2020 is the improvements in drawing performance speed and the wow.
The runner-up, the close second.
Well, the close second, probably the envelope publisher.
Yeah.
The connectivity back and forth between the CAD cloud tools.
We said one. We said you had to pick one.
Well, I'm naming one at a time, yes, so I'm not lumping them together.
So a lot of the features you really enjoy.
The one thing I've enjoyed is everything.
Good, that's great.
Yeah.
So Sal, what about yourself? I mean, we obviously heard, you know, when you look at the 3D Experience platform, the touch enablement that you guys have just released recently there. But you have to come back and look at where your roots are sometimes.
Oh, indeed, this is my favorite time of year as well. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. I do focus on the 3D Experience applications for the bulk of the year, but I love this time of year when I get to see what's going on. What we saw today with Rigid Flex was awesome, because at my heart I'm a geometry guy, and although that wasn't heavy geometry, it was cool to see that thing. I was like, okay, I can get with it. And maybe more importantly, it's, you know, anytime we do things that connect disconnected universes, the mechanical folks and the electronics folks, it's great. So to see that work continue, totally impressive.
Michael, you've got to touch a lot of aspects of the software over the last few weeks. What's one of your favorite things?
Well, for me, I mean, the flexible components is a big one.
Well, that too. I want that on my list as well.
Here, I'll give you. You can start writing it down.
I think the other thing that gives me flexibility that I'm enjoying is being able to use a 3D Experience platform. I mean, we saw a little bit of that today, but being able to put my data up there, move on to another machine, access it from my phone while I'm on the go, it makes it easy, keeps me connected and engaged so I can get my work done.
Yeah. I've kind of looked over at this, and I'd have to say I'd actually not go with something we saw here. It's, you know, when I did some of the stuff on the platform, I love the sub-D tools. Rob Jost on your team's responsible for a lot of that. They really helps. I'm a mechanical guy at heart, so doing industrial design is challenging for me, creating all the sweeps and lofts. And the sub-D modeling tools really help me shine and express myself in ways that are otherwise challenging to do with our current tools that we have. So really love those tools. They're super easy to use. I love it. Just push and pull on them. So, well, it doesn't look like we've have any more questions coming in here, but keep them rolling in. We're going to have people answering those questions on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube throughout the course of the day. If you haven't had an opportunity to yet, I encourage you to go visit solidworks.com/what's new. You can also, in the next few weeks, your resellers are going to start having live local events, and they're going to have a URL for that, solidworks.com/events, if you want to go sign up for a local SolidWorks reseller event.
Ask your local experts to get engaged.
Yeah, ask questions about some of these features. If you didn't get to ask them today, go there, ask your partner that you're working with there. They're great people to work with. But we're not done with live events either. We have another live event coming up November 6th. We're going to be talking about data management and simulation. I believe,
I'll
Michael,
be back for that.
You're going to be back for that. So really exciting stuff coming up there. But with that, I think we're going to close up. I want to thank everybody for joining us here today. Eric, it's been awesome having you on board, getting your feedback.
It's been beyond awesome for me, Jeremy, to be here and be a part of this. I never would imagine 23 years ago that, you know, It's been almost 40 years since high school, and I finally get to sit with the cool kids.
Yeah, no. So if anybody's ever wondering how this started, I encourage them to go on Twitter and look at the conversation between me and you regarding a pair of socks, right?
Indeed. If you want a really cool pair of socks, send Jeremy a really cool data set.
Yeah, there we go.
It's
All
a
right.
fair trade.
Thanks, everybody. I appreciate Sal, Michael. Thanks for joining me here today.
Thanks,
and
Jeremy.
again, tune in for our next live event coming up in November.
See you then.